This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, to episode number 68 of the Good Neighbor Podcast, Estero. Today we have good neighbor Shawn Humphreys from Paw Order joining us. Shawn, welcome.
Thank you. How are you, Jim?
I am doing awesome, and pleasure to get to know a little bit more about what you guys do. So let's jump right in, and why don't you share with us what you do at Paw Order?
We do dog training for pretty much any dog issues that you may have. I offer in-home training where I come out to you and we do the training in your home. And a lot of that is teaching the dog owner the proper ways of getting your dog to listen to you. And I offer stay and train programs as well, where the dog will come and actually live with me in my home and stay for 2 or 4 weeks or however long we feel necessary. And then I take the dog home and I teach mom and dad everything I taught their pet.
Very much like kids, they need to be trained a little bit, right?
Very
Otherwise, they're going to run all over the place and do whatever they want. So how did you get involved in dog training?
So I actually did almost 19 years in law enforcement in Georgia. And the main reason that I got into law enforcement was for canine. I was very, very fortunate. I was able to get into canine fairly quick, about 3 years into my career. And I was blessed enough to work 3 different partners. And I actually retired Canine Ali, who still lives with me. And he helps me out pretty much every session we go to.
I'm sure. Yeah, that knowledge is important, right?
Absolutely.
That is great. Are there any, I want to say, myths or maybe misconceptions about the industry that maybe we could clear up for our listeners?
Well, this may ruffle a feather or two. The dog harness, the no-pull dog harness is always one of my big things. Literally, the dog harness was created for pulling. Okay, you think about the sled dogs moving goods and, they wanted to take the weight off of the neck, right? Put it here on the shoulders. The dog can pull heavier amounts of weight and they can work longer. Okay. I love dog harnesses. Don't get me wrong. All my working partners, they walked in a dog harness, but their job was to pull me. So when you see a dog harness and new and improved, all they're doing is moving the leash around on where you're attaching. So your dog's just pulling in a different manner, in a different direction. So to me, it's best to teach the dog how to properly walk on leash, whether he's wearing a collar or a harness. I use collars that are specifically made to protect the trachea. That's the biggest reason, in my opinion, that folks are going to the harness. Totally agree 100%. But we want to teach the dog how to properly walk. Once we do so, they can walk in a harness, they can walk on a collar, they can walk without a leash. And then we have no pressure on the trachea.
Yeah, you want to be walking a dog rather than a dog walking you, right?
Exactly right.
So what kind of issues are probably the most common that you see with dogs nowadays, and need for training?
Really, since COVID, the biggest issue that I see is separation anxiety, because you think about when COVID hit. We were at home with our pets. A majority of us were at home with our pets throughout the entire day. Our dogs depend on us. And then we get back into the regular routine of going to work every day. Our dogs aren't used to that. So the separation anxiety has become a real topic with the training.
And I know dogs, just from being around, that a lot of dogs now are sensitive to the loud noises, the fireworks, the things like that. And they're very common, nowadays.
Yes.
So we've all endured some type of, I want to say, hardship or maybe a challenge along our journey that we can kind of look back at now and kind of say, you know what, it was rough going through it, but I'm in a better place now because of it. Is there something that happened on your journey that maybe
there's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Actually in June of 2021, we were trying to apprehend a suspect, and he attempted to stab my canine, and he stabbed me instead. I lost a lot of strength, and I was very happy that he got me instead of my partner. I lost a lot of strength in my left arm, and it made it very difficult for me to handle him as a working dog. Again, because his job is to pull me, go find the bad guy. And so it really took made a big impact on my direction. If that hadn't happened, I'd probably still be in law enforcement. But now I get to train dogs for a living and live in Florida. So I have no complaints.
What's better than that? I agree. So obviously you're not from here originally. Where are you from originally?
I actually grew up in Pennsylvania, lived in Texas for a few years, and then I moved to Georgia in 1990, and I moved to Florida literally the week after Hurricane Ian.
Wow. What brought you down here by chance?
There was already a Paw Order franchise here. The gentleman that owned it before, he and I have been friends for years. And as of this past April 1st, I purchased the franchise from him. Nice. I wanted to move where it was going to be a little bit warmer.
I agree. And further south it is. I love it. That's why we live down here.
That's right.
So outside of work, I know, your job is very demanding. You've got a lot going on with that. What do you like to do outside of work?
I thought about this. I kind of figured you would ask me a question like this. And I love playing golf. It's a great stress reliever. But really, I get to train dogs for a living. So honestly, since I've moved here, I've not had to go to work a single day. I'm very, very blessed. So playing with dogs is really, that's my thing. I just love playing with dogs.
So you found your niche because you got to love what you do. That's important.
That's it.
To get up every day. And if you love doing that, that is nothing better. Do you have favorite spots that you go to? I don't want to, share your secrets, but
there's a couple of places in Cape Coral that I like to play golf. As far as dog training, honestly, I go, what is the name of it? Three Oaks Park. Okay. I love going to Three Oaks Park. And my absolute favorite place is I go to Bass Pro Shops, Dick's Sporting Goods, think places like that allow me to take the dogs in. Yep. And it's very, very good environmentals for the dogs, because what I love so much about Florida is we can take our dogs everywhere with us. Yep. So taking the stay and train dogs there or meeting customers at those locations, we just get our dogs to coexist with everything that's going on around them. And it makes it so much easier and calmer on them.
I love that. Yes, it's important. They're like family. You got to bring them along. So I guess what's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about, dog training or Paw Order that maybe they don't know?
So Paw Order is owned by Steve and Alyssa Weimer, and we're based out of Pittsburgh. And I had met them at a working dog seminar years ago, probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And they are just fantastic people. I just love them to death. We're black and gold because we're Steelers fans. Okay. sorry, but we are. And, I really wanted to be a part of Paw Order. When it comes to the dog training, they really have it. There's always a different way. There may be a better way, but they're always open to hearing different things. They're not dead set in their way. There's no wrong. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's not only one way to train a dog. And to me, I was very fortunate in my career to have some trainers. Paul Corso is one of them that taught me so much about how to read dogs. And, that may sound kind of silly, but to be able to read a dog in their body positions, their mannerisms, everything that's going on, it really, really helps you in training the dog on to do something that maybe they're not comfortable with. If I were to give any tips out, I would say the two most important words in dog training to me are fair and consistent. And I say this during every evaluation. To be fair to our dogs, we have to be consistent. If
Absolutely.
we're not, we're confusing them. So if you stick to those two words right there, you can be very successful with your dog.
That's perfect. That's perfect. It's the same goes with kids. You can't have the
Absolutely.
good parent, bad parent. You got to be consistent across the board.
Exactly.
Any last things for our listeners that you'd like them to know?
I'm not sure who nominated me to come on here. I truly appreciate it. Honestly, I have the best customers. My customers are the best. I get to train dogs for a living, so I can't be upset ever. But the customer base and the friendships that I've gotten out of my customers is just it's unbelievable. So I truly love being here.
That is awesome. You're living your best life here in Southwest Florida. You got to love it. So how would our listeners go about getting a hold of you if they're interested in shaping their dog up a little bit?
Absolutely. So, of course, we have our website. It's pawandorder.com. You go onto the website, and there's a little icon there that you find your trainer. So, if somebody from out of Florida is looking, we have different locations in Texas and Ohio and Pittsburgh. Or you can, of course, call me or text me at 239-788-3303. And I'd just be happy to talk to you about your dogs, your training desires, because those vary to everybody. But I truly appreciate being on.
Hey, Shawn, pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for coming on, and we'll see you out in the neighborhood soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com or call 239-296-2621.